Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Megan Wood. I'm Director of Recruitment and Admissions in the University of Buffalo School of Management. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Q&A session with the UB MS and Business Analytics Faculty Director, Dr. Courtney Burris. This session is intended for students interested in the residential MSBA program, and many details covered in today's session are related to the residential program. Many of you submitted questions during the registration process, and we appreciate you taking the time to do so. And we'll cover them during today's presentation or when we open it up at the end for other questions. Additionally, we do have an online MSBA program, and we have a faculty director Q&A session scheduled for that for next Monday, May 12th at 12 p.m. So thanks again for submitting questions during the registration process. We are going to record this session and we'll share the recording in about 1 week's time once it's edited and transcribed. If you have additional questions during the session, please feel free to type them into the chat. But Dr. Burris is going to be covering a lot of wonderful information today, so I highly encourage you to listen attentively as she's presenting. Before we get started, I just wanted to answer some common admissions-related questions that we've received. So the first question is the GMAT or GRE required? No, the UB School of Management uses the test optional admissions process, so you can upload a GMAT or GRE score report to your application, but are not required to do so. Some students have asked, how long is the program and when do classes begin? The program is 11 months in length. The program begins in the summer with classes beginning in early July, and students graduate the following May. The program is full-time in residence. Students take 6 credits in the summer, 12 credits in the fall, and 12 credits in the spring. We've received questions of, is the program STEM? Absolutely, yes. The program is STEM designated, providing an additional 24 months of optional practical training, also known as OPT. So students in STEM designated programs receive a total of 36 months of OPT. The other question was, are there course prerequisites and is work experience required? No, there are not course prerequisites and work experience isn't required to apply. But at this point, I'll ask Dr. Burris to provide some more detail on what competitive applicants bring to the program and also share more highlights about the program. Dr. Burris?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Courtney Burris, but y'all can call me CJ. So I can just go through some high-level information here, and hopefully it covers a majority of your questions, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the session if there's anything that I didn't address here. So I just want to start with a bit of an introduction to who I am. So I am a clinical assistant faculty in the Department of Management Information Systems at the School of Management at UB. And I have been here, I'm finishing my second year, and I am now transitioning into the position of the director of the MSBA program. For my educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Elmira College, that's in New York State, but I'm actually from Northern Maine. And then I have both my master's and my PhD in industrial and systems engineering with a concentration in operations research from UB, actually. And I graduated in 2023. So in addition to being faculty, I am also an alum. So I know a lot about the university and the different opportunities that we have to offer. Outside of my role at the university, I am also co-founder and CEO of RHM Innovations, which is a Buffalo-based durable medical equipment startup. So I bring a lot of entrepreneurship and that type of business experience into my classes. So that's just a brief introduction to who I am. And though I'm going to cover every single thing on this slide in depth throughout the presentation, I wanted to start with an overview of the program. So one of the things that we pride ourselves in are our pathways, which are the different types of journeys that you can take in the MSBA program, or as basically focus areas. So we have healthcare data analytics, supply chain data analytics, financial data analytics, data engineering, data science, marketing data analytics, generative AI, cybersecurity, and fraud analytics. So there are a ton of options. I will go through each of those in depth with the types of courses that you would take if you were going to choose one of those focus areas. One of the things we're also really proud of is that last year, 97% of our graduates were employed within 6 months of graduation. And our average salary is just above $70,000 with a high of $115,000. And our graduates are now working at places like Geisinger, Honeywell, Paychex, M&T Bank. We have some people at Amazon. We have people at a lot of different companies. So that's just an overview of our program. Again, I will be going in depth with all of these things. So for our class demographics, these are actually for this last year, the 2024-2025 year, because we're still admitting students for the 2025-2026 year. But on average, our students had 2.75 years of experience, and that ranged from 0 to 10 years. So if you have no work experience, don't worry. You can learn a lot in this program. And even if you have 10 years of experience, you can learn a lot of new things in this program. We had 6 different countries represented, and there was a whole lot of different undergraduate backgrounds. So business, electrical engineering, finance, marketing, computer science, IT. I will say even this year, as I've gone through applications, I've seen people with backgrounds in social work, backgrounds in journalism. You can have a background in just about anything. You just have to have an interest or a passion in data analytics. So I'm going to start with our pathways. Our first is a healthcare data analyst path. So we have subject matter experts in the healthcare sector, and health data analysts typically work for medical groups, health information exchanges, which are HIEs, insurance providers or hospital groups, and they're responsible for compiling or organizing healthcare-related data, such as patient information, claims data, and adherence and outcomes. And they analyze that data to assist in driving healthcare outcomes and lowering costs and communicating findings with management. So we have the courses that you would take if this was something you were interested in. We have our core courses that are required for every student. These are things like our data visualization course, our practicum course, and then we have flex core courses. If you were going to do healthcare data analytics, the ones that you should take are predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. And I actually teach both of those. And then for your electives, you would want to take healthcare analytics, business of healthcare, and a seminar in health information systems. The next pathway or focus area that we have are supply chain data analyst path. So this analyzes data to optimize logistics and delivery of products and services to customers. Supply chains are critical to organizational success, and supply chain data analysts help to make sure that supply chain runs smoothly and efficiently. So again, for this focus area, you're going to take our core courses, and the flex core that are recommended are the predictive analytics and the prescriptive analytics. And then we have a ton of different electives that you can take. We actually have a master's in supply chain management, so we have a lot of courses related to supply chain. So these are courses like supply chain analytics, operations and service management, logistics management, production and inventory planning, and business forecasting. If you're interested in being a financial data analyst, you would be preparing financial reports for managers. You'd be responsible for identifying key insights and compiling analytical reports that enable the company to make financial and budgetary decisions. So again, you would take our core courses. For the flex core, we would recommend predictive analytics and model managerial processes. And then for your elective courses, we have quantitative methods in finance, financial modeling, and financial policies and strategies. Similarly to the supply chain options, we also have a master's in finance, so we have a lot of finance-related courses. The next focus area is the data engineering path. So if you wanted to take this path, you would be tasked with identifying data sources, transforming data into a format that can be easily analyzed, and architecting scalable data storage environments. You'd be primarily responsible, your primary responsibilities would include developing and maintaining and testing infrastructures for data storage, ETL, which is extract, transform, and load pipelines. And you'd work closely with data scientists and other analysts to provide the architectures required for their roles. So again, you would take our core courses. We would recommend for the Flex Core, the predictive analytics and model managerial process. And then for our electives, we had cloud data warehousing and data engineering, business process automation and programming for managers, optimization methods for machine learning. For our data scientist path, if you're interested in this, you would use analytical, statistical, and programming skills to collect large data sets and develop data-driven solutions explicitly tailored towards the need of an organization. You would design data modeling processes to create algorithms and predictive models to perform custom analysis. So you would take the core courses for the Flex Core, it would be predictive analytics and model managerial processes. And for your electives, we would have business process automation and programming for managers, optimization methods for machine learning, social network analytics, and prescriptive analytics. If you took this path, you would spend a lot of time with me because I teach at least 3 of those courses. Marketing data analyst path. So marketing data analysts are responsible for researching consumers and their buying habits and engagement with company brand. Analysts identify target audiences, track web analytics to assess campaign effectiveness and strategize for future campaigns. So again, we have our core courses. And then for our Flex Core, we recommend predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. And then for our electives, we have digital marketing analytics, marketing planning, consumer behavior, web analytics, and optimization techniques for e-commerce, and social network analytics. So again, similar to some of the other programs, we do have a master's in marketing, so we have a lot of different courses here. And then our generative AI path is relatively new, but something that we're very excited about. So with this, you would leverage state-of-the-art technology platforms to develop and implement generative AI tools and supporting data architectures in organizations. You would understand the end-to-end lifecycle of data along with core AI technologies and supporting database management systems. And you would blend this knowledge together with a deep understanding of business models and stakeholder needs to develop AI-powered systems to improve the speed and scale of business operations. So again, our core courses, the Flex Core that we would recommend for this are predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. And then the courses that we have are applied AI for managers, adopting AI in the enterprise, business process automation and programming for managers, and cloud data warehousing and data engineering. Just as a plug, I've heard really good things about our applied AI for managers course. I don't teach that, so I'm not plugging my own, but I've heard that it is a phenomenal course. And then next we have cybersecurity and fraud analyst path. If you chose this pathway, you'd be responsible for identifying key data sources for monitoring company systems, and or customer activity for evidence of cyber threats and fraud. You would identify key risk indicators and inform security and anti-fraud strategy from insights. So again, our core courses, and we would recommend our Flex Core courses of predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. And then for electives, we have cybersecurity analytics, cybersecurity privacy and ethics, and model managerial processes. And then we have some other pathways. These ones are just, so as an aside, our pathways are just guidelines. So it's just to help you focus your journey. You can obviously take whatever courses that you want in terms of electives, but it's just to guide you if you want to focus in one area. Some other areas that you can focus in are people analytics. These are designed to help students apply core analytics capabilities to learn how to use data to improve employee-related decisions and practices. The premise of the course is that effective leaders in 2023 and beyond must understand how data can be used and misused to leverage people's skills, talents, and insights. And And then sports analytics. This explores the application of statistical methods to sports using predictive and prescriptive analytics for a variety of functions, including formulating strategy, managing business elements of a sports team, determining draft picks and trades, and informing sports betting parameters. I will say our sports analytics class is co-taught by somebody within the Bills organization, which is our national football team, which is pretty cool. If you wanted to just focus on people or sports, you could then take our core courses. We would recommend predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics with sports analytics and people analytics. So all of that to say, I just threw a ton of information at you, but there are a lot of options for you. Again, the pathways are just focus areas. If you decide that you want to do healthcare data analytics, you can take other electives if you want to. And you saw just how many options that we have across all of the different journeys. So there is a lot of flexibility within these programs. Okay, so outside of just the classroom, we have a lot of opportunities for our students, including professional development. So we have different conferences that we actually host at the School of Management, like our Great Lakes Analytics Conference. And this has an industry day, so you can go and meet with industry professionals. We have highlight experts in healthcare, cybersecurity, defense, finance, and supply chain operations. These are just some examples of people that we've had as speakers in the past, but that's a really great opportunity that we host for our students. So it's free for you to attend, and it's right in Buffalo, so you don't even have to travel for it. And it's a great networking experience. We also have our Startup and Innovation Collaboratory. So I am really passionate about this. So this is, if you're interested in entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship, they also do things like hackathons. We have the Startup Collaboratory at UB. They host events like almost every single week. I actually did a ton of their events when I was a student. And I told you that I have a startup, and I actually started it through the collab. And they gave me a ton of support. And there was also just a lot of opportunities for networking with people within the school and also within the Buffalo community. They bring in a lot of speakers and they have a ton of events. And all of that is free to our students. We also have a undergraduate and graduate poster competition. We actually just had that. It was our celebration of academic excellence. And this is what it looks like. If you want to see a little bit more about that, you can always check out my LinkedIn. I posted a video about it because I was one of the judges. It was really cool. It was an opportunity for our students to share things that they're working on with their broader UB community and also the Buffalo community. It was a great experience. And outside of this, we also have our Career Resources Center, our CRC, which is something unique to the School of Management. It is only for School of Management students, and it is just what it says. It's a Career Resource Center. So they have people that can help specifically MSBA students do things like resumes or cover letters or job searches or mock interviews, whatever it is that you need help with in terms of career development. And they also have a lot of workshops. So outside of our curriculum, we have a ton of opportunities for you. And then one of the requirements of the program is a practicum. So in your practicum, there's two options. You can either do an experiential or an independent practicum project. If you choose experiential, you're going to be partnered with a company. Every year we have some companies that come in and they have data and they want students to work on it. So we offer that up to our students. These are things like the creation of an automated executive dashboard and data pipeline for consumer business, conducting a consumer market analysis to facilitate better broadcast programming decisions for television and radio, examining healthcare claims to recommend enhancements to patient care, or developing a framework for adversarial machine learning to protect AI systems. If that doesn't interest you, we also have an independent option. So this really allows you to make the project whatever it is that you want to do. So you can choose something that you are specifically interested in or passionate about. So we've seen a lot of different projects for this. So things like the S&P 500 and Dow index analysis using financial modeling, port and commodity transborder freight data analysis, applied methods for aggregate production planning, detailed analysis of motor vehicle accidents in major metropolitan areas, analysis of agricultural commodity pricing, and credit risk analysis using supervised learning methods. If you can dream it and it fits within what it is that you have to do in terms of analytics, then you can do it. And then for our career outcomes, as I said at the start, 97% of our graduates last year were employed within 6 months of graduation. They have job titles like business intelligence analyst, business analyst, data scientist, data engineer, product manager. So you can see that a lot of these job titles actually match with the journeys that we've outlined here. So that if you are interested in a specific job, there is most likely a pathway for you. And then we have students in industries like healthcare, finance, software tech, consulting, insurance, government, higher education, telecommunications. Because it's business analytics, it is very broad. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. And again, some of the organizations that employ our students are things like Comcast, Lidos, the London Stock Exchange, M&T Bank, which is, there is a headquarters in Buffalo, which is cool. Honeywell, HSBC, Paychex. We have people at a lot of different companies. And then I just wanted to touch on a couple of the different experiential learning opportunities that we have, because in my opinion, I think that some of the things that set our program apart are one, the sheer number of pathways and elective options that you have, our career resource center and the other professional development opportunities that we afford to students, and then our experiential learning opportunities. One of those being Experience the 50. Actually, we have an entire global programs. So there's a lot of different trips that you can go on. For any of our international students, I do recommend the Experience the 50 because it is within the United States. You get to go on a trip and see another hub for industry within the States. So you don't need a visa to travel. And while you're here in the States, it's a very large country. So you get to see another piece of it. And I actually lead the trip that the MSBA and MIS students go on. So this past year, we went to Silicon Valley. You can see me with a bunch of our students here. We went to Amazon, Visa, Odoo, Andreessen Horowitz, which is a venture capital firm. We also had an alumni networking event, and there was just a lot of opportunity for networking and to see what types of companies are out there and what that company looks like. And this year we are going on a Silicon Valley trip again that MSBA students will be allowed to go on. We also have the project clinic, which I think is very unique to our School of Management. So the projects clinic is in partnership with local and global businesses and employs School of Management graduate students in experiential learning projects. And our clinic interns are actually paid to work with partner companies to solve real problems. So you get the experience of working on a real project for a real company, and you also get paid to do it. So some of our partners are Catholic Health, which is a hospital, Chevetta's Chicken, which if you're not from Western New York, it is it's not barbecue chicken. It's like a sauce that goes on it. It is fantastic, but they're a company out here. Clean Capital, Dalix Roofing, Go Veggies, the Jacobs Institute, Oshai Children's Hospital, the Teacher's Desk, UBMD Physicians Group, UBMD Surgery Clinic, and a lot of others. 2 years ago, we had 100 projects. This past year, the last tally I got was 87, but that was a few months ago. So we are probably above that now, but it's a really great opportunity and experience for our students. especially for some of our international students who um, don't have the opportunity to do an internship within the 11-month time frame. And then we have an AI in Business Center. We just cut the ribbon this semester. So this is new and it is housed within the School of Management. And actually, the director of the AI in Business Center is the previous faculty director for the MSBA program. So the University at Buffalo Center for AI Business Innovation connects cutting-edge AI research with real-world business challenges, providing education, tools, and consulting to empower businesses, students, and communities in Western New York and beyond. So we actually have an AI symposium that happens annually that students are allowed to go to. And it was at this that the ribbon was cut. And then we have an actual center in the School of Management that has some computer spaces. It has a whole bunch of things, but it's basically a place where you can go in and work with like-minded students and visualize your data. And then we offer AI training and education, more student-run consulting projects. So there are a lot of opportunities for experiential learning. We have AI research and tools, collaboration opportunities, and also knowledge sharing. And then for additional resources at UB, I really like to highlight these. I think it's specifically because I was an alumni, so I actually used a majority of these resources, so I can attest to them. We have accessibility resources, so if you need any accommodations, our accessibility resources are incredible. We also have counseling services, and these services are available on both our North and South campus, and we actually have an embedded counselor within the School of Management. So a lot of people think that counseling services are just, one-on-one therapy, but actually there's a lot more. They have groups that can help you with your academics. They have groups that can help you with nutrition. They have yoga. They have a lot of different groups that you can participate in. They also have groups for students to join. Like there's an international student group that you can join. There's an LGBTQIA group that you can join where you can meet other students with a similar background to you. We have health services on campus, both in North and South. So it's basically like a doctor's office on campus. We have an office for equity, diversity, and inclusion that offer a lot of support to our students. And then we also have things like resources for your basic needs, like Blue Table Food Pantry and Hired, which is a place where you can go and get professional clothing if you have an interview or a presentation coming up. So we have a lot of different resources at UB in addition to the things that we provide you academically. And that is the end of my presentation. So I'm going to go back to our overview slide and we can take some questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burris. So I think we've been able to kind of keep up with the questions in the chat. I just want to reiterate, applications are viewed holistically. So we don't publish a minimum CGPA, but I did note that for the 2024 class, the average undergraduate CGPA was 3.29, but applications are viewed holistically. We are currently continuing to accept applications for summer 2025, and our 2026 application will open on July 1st. I know there's been some questions about application fee waivers. At this point, there may be potential for remaining summer 2025, depending on the competitiveness of your application. So feel free to reach out to Molly with those questions. She'll put her email into the chat. Dr. Burris, can you address what the average class size looks like and what a typical course session might look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I believe this past year we had between 50 or 60 students. Our online is a bit smaller at about 40. This year we're looking at, it's kind of hard to tell because we extended one of our deadlines, so we don't have the total numbers yet, but we're looking at between, again, 50 or 60. So it is relatively big for a master's program, but also pretty small where you can get to know everybody and also get to know all of your faculty. In terms of classes, it really depends on the classes that you're taking. I don't have any classes above, like my largest class that I have is 40 students. My smallest class that I have is 12. So there is really a wide range. It just depends on what you're taking. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, thanks. We had some additional questions about scholarships and assistantships. So we do offer merit-based scholarships for the MSBA program. I will say the priority deadline to apply for those opportunities was January 15th. So at this point, it's pretty late for summer 2025. However, the opportunity will still be there for 2026. Um, the materials that you submit during the application process are what's considered for merit-based scholarships. So there isn't a separate application for merit-based scholarships. UB does have a scholarship portal that you're able to apply to, but please be sure as you are reviewing those that portal and any scholarships there that you meet the criteria if you choose to apply there. Um, in terms of assistantships or on-campus employment, you must be an admitted and deposited student to be able to access the UB Career Design Center to apply for assistantships and on-campus employment. And as a School of Management student, you have access to our Career Design Center. That's a university resource, but additionally, you have a dedicated career advisor in the School of Management's Career Resource Center that we also refer to as a CRC. So you're really fortunate to be able to have access to two career centers and two different platforms to search for jobs, post your resume. Right, Molly put her email in the chat. Thank you so much. So if you have additional specific questions, please reach out. In terms of admissions requirements, it's an online application. It's a $100 application fee. You can find the application on the MSBA program website. $100 application fee. You'll upload your resume, being sure to note years and months of work experience for each position that you've had. You'll upload copies of your transcripts and proof of degree. And a career essay. So really that personal statement should talk about your short-term and long-term career goals and how the UBM SBA program really fits into that and aligns with those career goals.
Oh,
And
wait, can I
then,
touch on that?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, since you're in here, I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice on your personal statement because I am the person that reviews your application. Um, and personal statements, so there is no like, it's not like there's a checklist where we go down and it's like, okay, you have this, you don't have this. It's really looked at holistically. And I asked myself the question of, do I think that this student would be successful? And that's really how I look at applications. But I just want to share some of the things that I've seen in personal statements that work really well or don't work so well. Um, it works really well if you are writing it yourself really as a personal statement. So one of the things I see a lot now that we have Gen AI is AI generated personal statements. And it is very obvious when they're AI generated. And it's supposed to be a personal statement. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what drove you to want to take the next step with this program. What is your experience like? What do you want to do after? What do you want to get out of your experience? We really want to know your reflections. So the personal statements I've seen that have been actually personal, and it sounds like the person is more or less like talking to me and there's more of a human element, I feel like really resonate versus something that's AI generated. And if you did something, whether it's a project or work experience that is relatable, we would love to hear about it. So those are just a bit some tips and tricks when it comes to your personal statement.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Burris. Um, so additionally for application admissions requirements, international students also need to take an ELP, an English language proficiency exam. You can find countries and citizens that are waived from that requirement on our website, but that is a requirement for our international students as well. But it's very detailed on our website.
I sorry.
Go ahead.
Is this Professor Scalito mentioned an MSBA cheat sheet? I do have that. Do you send that out, Megan, or is that something I can
Um,
post?
he had worked with Jen Vazo to do that in the summer. So that's something we can do together. You can work with Jen.
Okay.
So generally, if you're an admitted student, that cheat sheet you'll receive probably in the next few weeks prior to arriving on campus. If you're an admitted student for summer 2025, first of all, congratulations. I can't wait to meet you in person. Secondly, in your acceptance letter, we noted that you have to arrive on campus by July 6th. Orientation is on July 7th, and that's required. And then classes start on July 8th. So those are just some important dates that shouldn't be new information, but I just wanted to reiterate here as well. Again, if you have specific questions on the English language proficiency requirement, feel free to email myself or Molly on that. I think that we've addressed all questions. So July 6th is the final date that you can arrive on campus for summer. There isn't any sort of late arrival because classes start on the 8th and orientation is on the 7th. So unfortunately, you're not able to arrive any later than July 6th and enroll in the summer program. So there's still plenty of time to secure your visa and arrive on campus by July 6th, but that's why we really indicate that at acceptance because we want to make sure that there's no confusion that you need to be on campus by July 6th. We don't offer late arrival for any of our summer start programs because we don't want you to be out of CFIS compliance. Okay, I think we've answered all questions in the chat. If there's any additional questions, feel free to type them into the chat. Tuition fee, thanks for that. We have detailed tuition fee information on our program website. Also, if you go to buffalo.edu/student accounts, you'll find a detailed breakdown of tuition and fees. But for the MSBA program, our current New York State resident tuition and fees are estimated at $19,058, and then our non-resident tuition fees are estimated at $36,178. Again, you can find that listed on the program website. Also, if you go to student accounts, you'll find additional information on that as well. SUNY publishes tuition information in July. So this information is current as it can be as of July 2024. And then if there's any updates in July 2025, we will update that as well. Okay, great question about Projects Clinic. So again, Dr. Burris talked about Projects Clinic as one of the many action learning opportunities you can participate in as a student. You'll apply for those once you arrive on campus. The application will be open for fall. So there's nothing to worry about at this time. The MSBA Academic Advisor will be doing a virtual session in early June with all of you. So if you haven't gotten information on that, you will soon from Jennifer Vazo, who'll be your academic advisor, but she'll cover off on some more of that information at that point. The Projects Clinic application is actually available in BizLink, which is through our School of Management's Career Resource Center website. So once you're admitted and deposited, you'll gain access to BizLink in early June. So you'll get more information. Kevin Thomas Jr. is your career advisor. So he'll be reaching out to you in early June with access to that system. So then you can, search for jobs, post your resume, look for the Projects Clinic as well. No, you do not need letters of recommendation for the application. That is not an admissions requirement for the MSBA program. Thanks, Molly. So Molly provided a link for English language proficiency requirements. Okay, so scholarships availability for fall 2026. Again, at this point, the MSBA program admits for the summer term. If there's any changes, obviously we will update that when we open applications on July 1st for 2026. The priority application deadline for scholarship consideration is January 15th. So at this point, we've awarded all scholarships for 2025. If any recipients do not enroll, there may be potential for additional opportunities, but at this point, they're all been awarded for 2025. And for 2026, you'll want to kind of note January 15th as a priority deadline to apply to be considered for scholarships. But if you're an admitted and deposited student, you can still apply for assistantships and on-campus employment. Many of our students offset our competitive tuition by applying for on-campus jobs. The Projects Clinic is a paid position. It's a short-term project, but it's a paid position. And additionally, students secure loans as well to help with that. But I think that you'll see when you're comparing our MSBA program tuition fees to other programs, we're highly competitive. Additionally, SUNY is the #1 business school in our SUNY system, and we are also AACSB accredited, which is a badge of honor that we share with only 6% of other worldwide business schools. Okay, so there's no prerequisites for the MSBA program. There's no course prerequisites. There's no work prerequisites. But Dr. Burris, if you can kind of share a little bit more about what you look like or what you look for in terms of any courses that might be helpful, that would be great.
Yeah, so it is kind of hard to say because we have people from all different backgrounds, different work experience, different undergraduate degrees. So there is no one exact like formula that we're looking for. But some of the things that I take note of is if you had some sort of STEM undergrad. So in a STEM undergrad, courses that you're typically going to take are a statistics course, some math courses. You might take some data courses. So I'll look at your grades in those and how you did. Um, if you did not have any sort of STEM undergrad, most people still take a statistics course. And I will say that for me, that is a really good indicator because data analytics is like based on a foundation of statistical analytics and a understanding of data. And so, and business analytics is just data analytics in a business application. Um, so I would suggest if you haven't taken a stats course, you can always do an online stats course. If you come from a background that isn't technical, there's a lot of different certificates you can do, and that just demonstrates that you are actually serious about doing this, even if you don't have a background that necessarily aligns, or if you have any sort of work experience that uses analytics at all. I would touch on that. Um, I said at the start, like we have students that have applied from a journalism background, from a social work background. And I will say I did accept students that had those backgrounds. And for me, for those particular students, a lot of it had to do with they didn't have any sort of STEM background, but one of them did some additional certificates and they talked about the job that they have and how they want to use analytics within journalism or how they want to use analytics within their social work field. Um, so in addition to demonstrating that you have some proficiency with data, um, being able to explain why it is that you want to do this and what you're looking to really get out of it is really important. But again, there is no hard and fast rule. I look at applications holistically on a person by person basis. And I really just look to see if I think that you would be successful in the program.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Burris. Does anyone have any additional questions? Okay. With that, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your interest in the UB MSBA program. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, this session is recorded and we will be sharing it with all of you in about 1 week's time once it's edited and transcribed. I do see one quick question. The average scholarship, this year, the average scholarship for the MS programs was either $2,000 or $5,000 for our merit-based scholarships. But again, thank you so much for your interest. To those of you that are admitted, we'll see you very, very soon. And then for anyone that's still applying, please get your application in soon. And, we hope to hear from all of you later. And thanks again to Dr. Burris for providing such great details and information about the program. Have a great rest of your day or evening, everyone.